All right. Hello. Good evening and welcome, everyone. How we doing? And welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. Another Tuesday evening with you. I trust everybody has had a great day today. I'm going to let my husband and my husband take over for a minute, start chatting while I invite some more of you that should have been on with us at the same time we came on.
Don't talk. You got it.
Well, no, I can't do this and talk at the same time.
No, go. You got it. How you doing, everybody?
It's a lot of changes going on, guys. You know, in the ranks of the system in terms of, I guess political. Well, let's start with the political front real fast. Here in LA and I'm in a few other states across the nation, it's that day. It's called Voting Day.
Yes, it is.
You know, we complain, we fuss about the lack of progress that this nation is going through at the particular moment. But here is the day and opportunity to be able to address those particular issues. You know, was it a year ago that we did a full show? We on election night, we did a live show.
Right. Yeah.
And tried to, coach you guys in the right way. Had a lot of turnout and viewership, but somehow Kamala didn't win. How'd that happen?
It's interesting. It's very interesting. People just didn't get out. The voting was just not there. And to be honest with you, we did what we had to do. We voted. I know I voted, and I know I voted for not this person, but I voted for I wanted something different for the country. But those who set out or those who thought otherwise didn't want anything different. So we're now having to deal with what we're dealing with right now.
Right. And a chaotic mess or something. People call it SH.
Yes, and what can you do but just keep being entertained and to why. Nice to see that the gas prices are still going up, even though in the news they're saying it's coming down a little bit, but it's still a little too high. And because of it, food is high, and people, if you can afford it, great.
Yeah.
A lot of us can't afford it right now, so we're doing the best that we know how to do.
Yeah,
right.
This is automatically true. I mean, in terms of the situation, keep in mind, this is not a complaint session.
It is a complaint session because I don't mind complaining. I voted.
Well,
I voted, so I can complain. I for those who don't vote, please don't do it because don't get out there and do your civic duty. What's the you don't. So you don't get out there and do what you need to do. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Somebody votes in your stead. That's what I say. If you don't vote, somebody will vote for you.
Yeah. And the voting and you won't be counted. Okay. Just at the end of the day, you won't be counted.
Well,
But
we should be lucky to live in a country where the people still have the voice and still can use their voices and use their vote as their voices to make change. There are other countries
up to speed on this thing. I did all this to the. Right, go ahead. As you were saying to the crowd.
Well, I mean, we're just lucky. We're lucky to still have the voice, or this, still have the Constitution, which give us the right to choose our politicians and our leaders. But if you don't, you can do
it is. You can. I mean, I'm really anxious to see what's going to happen here in California. Throughout they're debating this, trying to get a Democrat and a Republican to be going heads up during the, if nobody can win the governor's race today anyway, but
in the mayor race.
But not much of that as a whole, but it's more in the governor's race that they're trying to, get it was a Democratic versus a Republican, and then get that heated battle for the next 6 months, before the general.
I'm not worried about the governor's race, but I am worried about the mayor race. We out here in Los Angeles, and people are pushing for Spencer Pratt, whatever you want to call that. Well, and this is what get me. He is independent. He's
a
Republican platform.
Yeah, he's independent going on a Republican platform. That's weird.
He is weird. He's always been weird, but we suffer amnesia in this country.
Yeah. Even with him, I said that I wanted to say a couple of things about him, in and of itself. I really don't understand, especially those of you that are in the process of, if you're seeing this or seeing it late, well, it'll be too late at that point. But have been in the booth and voted for that man. I don't even know where your heads are. I really don't. I said, because the thing about it is that this guy has no substance to the office of politicism. Okay, you're running for an office on a feeling. Okay, the feeling that you have is that you don't like in terms of the fire and what happened. And I'm not sure saying that you should like it. At the end of the day, there is a point where it realistically did not feel cool. I mean, I'm not making it, making light of it, that it should have felt cool. But you're going to blame the mayor, okay? And I said this, maybe on previous show, just even the general conversation. So you're going to blame the mayor, okay, for what happened in the Palisades and whatever the case may be. So what you expected her to do was to get on the back of a fire truck and hold a hose at your house in particular. That to me, that alone is so selfish. You know what I mean? That
Trump-esque.
Huh?
Very Trump-esque.
Well, Trump ass.
Very Trump-esque.
That alone for that type of mentality is just crazy to me. Well, I lost my home, and then I feel like now that since I lost my home, that I've got to be a mayor. I can do it better than she can. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Dude, I mean, no, at the end of the day. And then what if everybody else in the Palisades felt the exactly the same way? How many people will be running for the mayor? Is that out of the 16,000 homes that were lost?
Well, you gotta give him credit. At least he's angry enough to
angry about what?
Run for something, I suppose. I mean, to be honest with you, he's angry enough to want to do something. But I wish, his anger was legit, because it's coming from a very selfish place. Then on top of that, he has no policy to run on. He's not running on anything concrete.
Any policies.
Well, he does.
He doesn't have any policy on this thing.
He wants to get rid of the homeless, but he doesn't have. He doesn't.
Thank you for bringing that up. But go ahead.
He doesn't have a plan, nor does he have any type of concrete idea of how to rid this city of the homeless. All he is saying is, "I just want to get rid of the homeless," but there is no plan. There's no plan to anything. It's just he's gonna
get rid of the homeless.
He's just gonna have all of this. I'm gonna do, but there is no set plan. So the saddest thing about this situation is you're gonna have a bunch of dodo heads that are gonna vote for a guy who never has had the experience. Probably in their minds is a great idea. Probably need somebody with no experience. But at least if the person never had experience, at least he could have a plan.
At least to know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. How are you going to go and say you're going to run government and you don't understand government?
Yeah. Well, probably he thinks he's don't even go there. Don't go there. I'm about to say probably he thought he was. I think he thinks he's Trump, not Barack Obama. Yeah. I would never put Barack Obama in the same category.
My leg is really bothering me right now. But anyway, I don't get the asinine philosophy that someone actually stand up and okay. Um, I really don't understand that, and it can be disappointing. And like I said, in my job, I've met a lot of disappointed people. They've come in and they, but once they got past their disappointment, they're like, you know what, I really got to do something. I really got to do something. And as a company, we offer extra savings toward whatever they were purchasing. How they felt during this whole situation. I mean, you go home, you go to work and you come home and then there's no home. I get it, and I get it to the extent of at least the empathy of trying to understand where they are. But we have a relative, that in Altadena that lost the same situation. Well, she went out there trying to run for mayor of Altadena because of what happened.
I don't, to be honest with you, I don't have a problem with him running. I don't have a problem with him doing what he thinks is best.
For who?
Well, listen to him. My issue with this situation is that he doesn't have a plan, and he doesn't have an iota of a.
So let me interrupt you, okay? And I know you keep saying he doesn't have a plan.
He doesn't.
Yeah, and rightfully true. I mean, but you got to have a plan to have a plan. You got to have a plan to have a plan. Your plan can't be that I'm angry and disappointed because I lost my house, my parents' house, and that's it. I'm running for office because that's all the man has said in bitching about the homeless. Well, you knew about this, which you opened up for me a few minutes ago. You knew about this homeless situation prior to the fire. Where was your active point about going down to, if it had hurt you that bad, why were you not down at the city council meetings doing anything that you can to support it?
It's too big on them drugs.
Well, okay.
Allegedly. They all on drugs.
Allegedly. So where was that participation? Where were you being on the video? Yeah, anybody can go down shoot a video on Skid Row because Skid Row looked like a shithole.
Plus, he does a lot of reality shows. He was doing that before all of this.
Yeah, but
selling crystals.
Okay.
Whatever that might be.
But how much of that crystal money that you passed off to get these people off the street?
You ain't doing that.
Okay. How much did you go to fight hunger? In the process of that, why a lot of these people are still remaining on the street. How many of these people have you went and talked to that are on the street? You're pointing fingers and saying what somebody else should have been doing. But regardless of it played out exactly the way she intended it fully to play out, the mayor has done a great job in terms of getting rid of these encampments. You just can't go through the whole city with a sweep and just get rid of people. And at the end of the day, these people that are on the street have some of them have some very serious issues, but
mental issues.
Yes, it's a very serious issue, and you got to know how to have a treatment plan. But let's just go back in history just a little bit since we talked about that. Is that the Republican governor, Republican president. In the 1980s, he decided that mental treatment should not be mental disorder should not be treated. You should be treated for drugs. You should be treated for mental disorder. He decided that we needed to close up all of the mental hospitals. People out on the street. Okay. That didn't just stop the ones that were in the 80s that are coming along. So now we're at a position where because of what one person did, there's no place for these people to be.
Well, that's what happens when you have people in office that don't believe in socialism.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That's what socialism do. Socialism will house people and put them into organizations where they could be treated. And to be honest with you, that is the reason why you have things like this happening. This is why if you work in retail, you're going to have people in your face who have a mental illness or a drug situation where they're not being treated.
You've done that and I've done it, but go ahead.
But that is the case. The case is that the American people have been miseducated on socialism. They've been miseducated on a lot of stuff. Not only socialism, but affordability, and on top of that, unions.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, you got to have somebody that's going to stand for you. If you think you can stand on your own, well, you know what? That's great for you. But once you all
right,
once you shy stuff at all,
right,
and people need protection because we have a lot of greedy people right now as we speak
right,
who are running the roost, and people are not trying to see for what it really is.
Right.
Is that it's corruption that is starting. It's been starting.
Right.
But it's just the fact that now it's so blatantly in your face. To the fact that it's so laughable for people to not see it for what it is, and I'm seeing it all for what it really is.
Well, you know, and you said a lot there in the process of all that. One of the major things that, and I just go prior to Karen was awarded over $65 million to start addressing the homeless situation under the former administration, Eric Garcetti. Okay, Eric Garcetti was the mayor. Every time he turned around, he did great photo ops. He made sure that he looked good on camera, you know, and all of the things that were involved in that aspect of stuff. However, the homeless part, you know what he did with the homeless people? He took money and did this major unnecessary investment into tents, and he passed tents for people. The difference that he did, what did it cost him? $25,000 to buy tents for all of the people and hand them out? You know, that's just a speculatory number, and took the majority of the money and invested in a development in downtown LA so that he could benefit from it.
And to show you guys that we're not biased, guess who gave him a promotion to be ambassador to India? Just guess. It wasn't even Trump. It was Biden. And I still roll my eyes to that because at the end of the day, he must have gave Biden a whole lot of money for him to have.
What money? He had no money.
Well, he probably did have something. Because how did he get that promotion? He must have kissed all their asses, and
well, that's probably what.
And Brown knows his way to being ambassador. You know, my thing is that is the situation where I lose it with the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party, because both of these parties are now becoming ridiculous. But the saddest thing about, I'm not really shocked by the Republican Party because I know they have never been for the working man, nor do they care about the working man. It's all about them, the pseudo-American dream.
Right.
And that American dream is to be successful. But in order to be successful, you have to know people. You have to learn. You have to have a goal, but then the goal has to be met. On top of that, it's just based on pure luck.
Right.
And you can take it to what it really, for what it is. But the Democratic Party, I'm always kind of like, y'all are so missing the message and missing the mark. I understand they are the only party that I know that is for the people, but sometimes their policies, when it boils down to trying to help, it gets lost and muddled through dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Dumb stuff. I mean, to be honest with you, that we're talking about this situation with Epstein and all this, and I know I'm getting off the market, but this is what really hurts me right now. Before Trump, it should have been Biden on this Epstein situation, and probably we would have gotten to the truth, and probably have been dealing or have now having to deal with this fool that's now running the roost. If they would have taken out the time and stopped worrying about what Michael Jackson was doing, instead of worrying about this worldwide financier who was teaching the rich how to cheat the tax codes, this man, Epstein. If they would have been so worried and busy and investigating this man, we would have gotten to the truth about Trump and his cronies. But no, now we're dealing with Epstein. Now that Trump is now president. And you know what? We might not ever come to the truth, because that's where I feel sometimes the Democrats have always struck the ball. They have missed the mark. And they missed the mark with that. We wouldn't have had this fool as the president if they would have jumped on that bandwagon when Biden was in office. But let's say, you know what it is, what it is. Hey, people are gonna have to find out for themselves that, do we need a two-party system? I don't think we need a two-party system. I think we need to go above two parties. I honestly think we need to be more of a
that will put us more of a communist perspective.
Well, you know what? We got to do something. We got to make change, because I can't depend on a two-party system to help me out. I think we have to rock the boat. I think things, and then on top of the rocking the boat, I think we need to put terms on these people.
Yeah,
we got to put terms on these politicians. I'm sorry. Term limit.
That should have been established sometime. We have conversations regularly about particular system and whatever is involved. And then again, majority of Americans don't pay attention to the system that is in place. And I have family members, and you have family members that I'm just appalled at the idea that they don't even know what's going on in their world or the state that they live in. But back to the party system, it's a broken system. And we have really tried. We've had leaders or alleged leaders that say that they had an idea to fix the broken system and whatever. Well, number one is that you need to establish term limits. So what it should be is that going in, if you're going to break the system, now this is what I do. If you're going to break, repair a broken system, you got to get rid of the broken pieces. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you immediately go in with the idea and just say, hey, look, this is your last term, wherever you are, unless you are a junior at the Hill, you work with. Mm-hmm. This is your last term. Now you can make decisions or whatever the case may be to rerun after you sat out for 4 years. You've got to sit out for 4 years, and not be in government at all. Okay, mm-hmm. You can rerun. At that particular point in time, once you run, you cannot serve no more than 2 terms. Mm-hmm. Then you're done. Now, if you serve 2 terms, you get through it, guess what? You got to set out for 8 before you can come back. All right? Because this whole idea of it doesn't pave way to the brilliant people that are out there that are trying so hard, like the Congress senator in Tennessee. I can never think of his name, but he's doing a lot of great things. This is why Jasmine Crockett had to go. Well, she went to go up against. Okay, mm-hmm. Because you got fixed in people that need to be fixing their ass right on out the door. Now, same way. Who's the oldest woman up there right now? That her seat's up, but she don't want to leave. Dark hair. Is it Dianne Feinstein?
Probably Dianne Feinstein.
Dianne Feinstein is 96 years old. What? Why is she here?
Maxine Waters too.
Is it called? Why are you here?
Clyburn from South Carolina.
Why are you here?
They just can't let it go.
Well, number one is that they're not building up replacements, and I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. Finally, Mitch. I used to call him Bitch McConnell right now. Since he is being forced out because of his incapacitation.
Man can't speak.
Okay, that he's being forced out, but why was he there that long? And you had people like Paul Ryan that said, you know what? He got to be Speaker of the House. In that particular point, he decided Paul Ryan knew, because Paul Ryan was young. Okay, he's still out there somewhere, but somebody knew, earlier on that he needed.
I think Jasmine, since we're not talking to, would be great as an activist.
Yeah, but I kind of activism.
She'd be great as an activist. I think she would be great.
She has a voice of activism
on the streets.
Right, but we need somebody to get shit done. And
well, Martin Luther King did that, and he wasn't a politician.
No, but he demanded the attention of the president and presidents, and his goal was to have meetings with the presidents, and that was between Kennedy. Well, I mean, before Kennedy and then Johnson, to get things done, and he took the initiative and the fortitude to push his way all the way to the Oval Office. Now they could have said they didn't have to let him in the Oval Office, but they didn't want that kind of that stain raining, upon them. Whoever Johnson was the president at that time. We don't have anybody that press in that far. You know what I mean? We don't have anybody press in that far. If somebody has that kind of allegiance from the people, they're too busy buying houses and getting people's money.
Okay. That's what happens when you lose and drop the ball and you lose the messaging. The sad thing about that is you need to vet people who join your organizations. You need to know if they're there for the right reasons, because people will mess you up, will mess up your organizations. They will mess up things.
The organizer was a messy one.
She wasn't too bright on that.
Okay, and where is it now? Where is it now?
Well,
we all know where it is, but
they could have did while they were still up and going. And we're talking about Black Lives Matter. They could have been starting at this point building politicians, building up a class on voting registration.
Yeah.
What the civil rights movement was doing was not just marching all day and singing all day. They were teaching the youth. They were teaching a new generation of politicians.
Right.
People were learning that they, without the vote, they didn't have any protections.
Right.
Those mass meetings were, especially during the bus boycott, was to tell the public this is what's going on and this is what we're going to have to do as a community. But we don't have that. Even with social media is not doing the trick. As people want to say, well, we could get together through social media. No, you cannot, because there's always discourse in social media. You got people in the comment section that don't want to get aligned. And then on top of that, why would you see? That was the thing about what made the civil rights movement legit. We didn't leave the back door open for everybody to know what the heck we were doing within the community. People were throwing out leaflets and passing the messaging and saying, this is what we're going to have to do. We're having a meeting at such and such place, church, whatever. Y'all need to come because we need to be, as a community, know what we're going to have to do to get over this situation. But now the back door is open, and now you got people talking all over the place, messaging all over the place. It's just not going to work. Social media is not working. It's not going to work.
Right, just people, but unfortunately, we've got a generation of people that live by that device, and it will be the device that will the device to keep a major divide, because you put something out there on it, it's the first thing unbelievable, and not even knowing the truth behind the truth. We all do our bidding on social media, but bidding with a purpose, bidding it to be a gossiper on a higher level. What is that?
Well, rage bait that's the biggest thing on social media. You can harass or these films of people getting shot, and you got police choking people out, and my phone is right here. But then the phone is enough to show the situation. But then what are you going to do to prepare the situation where it won't happen again? Are you going to get out there and vote for the judge and the sheriff? Or are you just going to sit back and have your phone out when the ass is getting shot up? What are you going to do?
How about just curbing the behavior?
Oh, please forget about that.
The behavior is what starts it. You got not even what you're saying on the police, but you got folks that just want to, because somebody cut in line at Walmart, you feel like that's the deserved point to be having a fight. Or somebody got your food wrong, and whatever, you throwing the food at the worker behind the counter, or you're destroying their cash register because you upset because your fries were cold. What is mentality come from?
That's where you're getting that type of attitude and that type of mentality through social media, and not social media, but through reality shows.
Right.
If you're constantly watching programs that consist of people just fighting over tables and jumping over tables and just cussing people out on a whim, that's what you're watching. That's initiating in your brain. That's what you think is the real world, and that's not the real world.
It's not. It certainly is not, But, and then we make excuses for it, just like we make, I stay on that bandwagon all the time about the distasteful hip hop music and what it's done. But to me, it all parallels. That's what they talk about there. That's when the behavior comes out in that.
But that's what mainstream provides for us. I mean, that's what mainstream shows us.
Right.
Is the downside of that type of art form or that type of content, because there's more to it than just what we are seeing. And I hate to say this, but I wish people use their money as their power, as their leverage, to not buy into the chaos.
Right.
But you can't tell people what to do in this country. This is their freedom. But on top of that, you'll go. I'm going to say again, I wish people would use their money as their leverage of power to say, I'm not going to deal with this. Like I say, it's easier to go into McDonald's and cuss out somebody behind the counter about your food. Instead of cussing them out, you should ask them, give me my money back. I'll take my money somewhere else where my food would be a whole lot better. And on top of that, the customer service would be better. There's no sense to be cussing people out when your money is your power. Right. You have worked how many hours during the day? 8 hours, and you have accumulated 40 hours in your job. You should be able to say, this is my power. The money that I make is my power. I should withhold my power from people who are not going to treat me right. If I'm being followed around in the store, why should I cuss up a storm? I'll take my money somewhere else where I will not feel like I'm being followed or accosted in a store where I'm using my power to keep this business going. Right. I never quite could understand where people forget that your money is your power, because the bus, this is going to be a history lesson. The bus boycott was won because Black people bankrupted Montgomery's public transportation system. Right. They realized that their money was their power, but the fact that they had to stand in the back of the bus, be so cramped up in the back, when the whites had to find a seat, they had to either get off the bus or go as far back so that they realized my money is my power. Right. I'm not going to support this, nor will I keep this going. So I'm going to do what I think is best, and I'm going to keep my tail up off this bus to preserve my humanity, to preserve my integrity as a person. That's what people and most Americans don't understand. Your money is your power.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying. It's not taught in the home. The foundation is not taught in the home. But making style gets taught in the home. I'm just gonna go there.
Oh well, that's
that behavior gets taught in the home. I mean, and I'll just say this for the record, and we're going to go on. I mean, one of your greatest celebrities feels like it's appropriate to bring their daughter to an adult affair because of nepotism. Okay? Where are the boundaries? There should be boundaries. You don't go, I don't care how much money you have. That's not a place for you to be as a teenager. There are events that you need to go as being a teenager, not to some grand event where adults are doing whatever. Who could be a bitch? I could pull you off to the bathroom. One of them adults could pull you off to the bathroom.
Well, that's their child. That's their child. That ain't got nothing to do with what we got going on this side of the fence.
But they're just the example.
But they are the wrong example because they are the wrong example because that is not what we're having to deal with. That's a situation that's within the house. They have every right to do what the heck they want to do with their child, whether we like it or not. that's their situation,
well,
regardless if they're famous or if they're doing whatever.
Well, true, but you have that even not. And I can I can break it down to just to the comment. I used to have a young lady that worked for me. Her mama was just as bad.
Yeah, well.
And this is not a level of nepotism. This mama was putting her daughter out so she could move her man in.
Yeah.
Really? Who do that? Who does that? They do, yes, but who does that? You know what I'm saying?
It's sad.
It is.
Very sad.
Because my so-called needs are more important than the child that I have to raise, the child that I created with somebody that's maybe not around anymore or whatever the case may be. My situation is bad. A lot of selfishness going on. But anyway, so we're gonna move on. We got a couple clips here, but one that I think it kind of answers your question. And it's always you'll find it listening to us. We're gonna always implement something spiritual, and because everything we talk about, it still ends up being spiritual. Because it all comes from the inside of you, and then where you look at it, how you see yourself within the ranks of your Creator. So till you get that right, you're gonna be dealing with stuff that you have. But here's the reason why a lot of individuals feel the way that they feel about their Creator.
I got a question for y'all. How did enslaved people and slave owners pray to the same God and end up on opposite sides of justice? Whose prayers were really being answered? Because when you study history and theology, it reveals the uncomfortable truth. You see, religion wasn't just about faith. It was also about power. During slavery, Christianity was used to control, but it also was reshaped by the enslaved people into something deeper, something that gave them hope, resistance, and identity. And if you look at history and power, it doesn't just disappear, it evolved. After the fall of Rome, its influence didn't vanish. It lived through European empires, through institutions, through the spread of belief systems. And those empires expanded, first across Europe, then across the world. And they didn't just take land, they shaped the minds. They spread religion, not just as faith, but as structure and control. And in that process, many indigenous ways of connecting to the divine through nature, ancestors, and community were labeled as primitive or even demonic. This was all because they didn't fit the belief system that was being imposed. So now we have generations of people taught to look outside themselves for power instead of recognizing the power that's always been within them. And maybe that's the real question. What happens when people start reconnecting with themselves, their histories, their ancestors? Because if connecting with your ancestors wasn't so powerful, why were those connections erased? Why were their languages taken, their names changed, their practices called evil? What were they trying to keep you from remembering? Because if you knew where you came from, would you still believe you were powerless? Or would you realize you came from people who resisted, who survived? People who chose dignity even when it cost them everything. In the famous words of Killmonger, bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ship, because even they knew death was better than bondage. So I ask you again, what happens when we remember?
Very, very powerful. Go ahead, you can take it down. Okay. No, I think what it was a very quick history lesson as to where, typically at this point, Black people resonate in this country and what has affected us. But the sad part about his truth, not his truth, but the truth behind what he was saying, is that people don't believe that. You've been so tainted with this idea that comes from religious practices that you actually believe that religious practice well beyond who you are as a person or where you came from in an ancestral basis. You know that? Okay. These people, they did a number on humanity, but did a number on Black people. Mm-hmm. They did a number on them because you were already in a position of thinking that you were less than because of the position that you were in this planet. You know what I mean? Through slave situation. So what happened is that they found out a way to capitalize on that and just kept you more even oppressed. But you started preaching the message of bondage and despair to your own people. Where do we not wake up to the fact that these are words that we have said independently? We have told people in our own sectors, and the point that you already bring about being on code, we have never told anybody to be on code. At one point, maybe there was a little bit of it, You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But it has been something completely different from that all along, and we can see the traces of that. So, okay, here's the question: what do we do to fix it? What do we do to change it? Step away from it. Leave these so-called houses of synagogues and find an independent search for yourself about your creator as an individual. You know, if you want to be spiritual, you're supposed to be seeking your own soul salvation anyway. You're supposed to be doing it anyway. You're not supposed to be relying upon somebody to give you or tell you that, and it's inception of that. But this point of this conversation is not so much directly in about that. It is about you identifying yourself faith-wise within what is in you to move yourself forward. So everything you talked about today, you know, so far on the show, it relates back to what's going on with inside an individual, period. Okay? Your strength, your idea, your identity. Where is your identity? Everybody, well, okay, I won't say that, you know, but where is your identity? Where does your identity lie? Okay, or does it lie in the isms and the schisms, or does your identity lie in what grandmama said, hypothetically? You know, grandmamas, they told a lot of isms and schisms that weren't true. A lot of those things that they put on their generations of people were not biblical, but they swore it came out of the Bible, sitting on the coffee table, nobody ever opened. Okay, so, but I know some of y'all say, oh God, they're going against the religion of this. We have all been infected, not affected, infected. Hoodwinked too, you know, by these practices. And I get it. You acted upon what you knew, okay? I can't fight you on that, all right? But what you didn't know, you have the responsibility to find out. Simple.
I just wish us as a community, well, us as Black folks, would get up off our knees and not stay on our knees so damn long that we're too tired to get up to go do something. I think the only thing that he was saying in the short was he said the prayers, the two different prayers, you know, one white, one black. I think, to be honest with you, it
started out that way, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think, to be honest with you, when it boils down to white folk, they don't stay on their knees too long. They get up and they organize. It's not even that long. They pray for a few and then they just get up and start organizing. We pray for too damn long, and we pray too long. We sing too long, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
I do.
If that's what you think is best for you, fine, go do you. But sometimes the message is too damn long to do something that needs to be done, and you're not saving people. You're hindering people. You're hindering them from trying to better their situations.
Go ahead.
To better their situations. And like at the end of the day, we need to leave those archaic rules and policies and doctrines and start understanding that is not the be all to end all type of situation. We have to be realistic about our earthly situation. Well, we have to be realistic and we have to organize. We're going to have to deal with people that you claim are too worldly, and I don't understand that terminology, worldly.
A created farce to keep control over an idea.
The world ain't do nothing to me. Right. I think society has did more than the world. I think the world has did a great job, and it keeps us alive. Right. But that's the church lingo, and I don't understand. But keep going. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, and well said. One of the things that whether you as our guest decide to tune in or not or whatever, I'm going to stay in this vein about separating your life from religion. And separate, and I feel like that's part of my call of other the numerous amount of things that are there is to speak the truth and life into individuals' lives, so that hopefully that you'll wake up. Period. Just wake up. Come from under that cloud. I mean, here we are once again, and I'm going to segue into him just for a moment. The planet, and I'm saying the planet included in this, is reinsurging itself, okay, by the love and the light of one man. Okay. And if you don't know who I'm referring to, is Michael Jackson. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The light and the love of one man. One man. You know, one single man has impacted the entire planet. This guy told me the other day, well, I think it was my doctor or whatever. He said, and he was from India.
Mm-hmm.
He was raised in India. And at the time, they knew Michael Jackson doing in India.
Mm-hmm. They knew him in Iraq.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, to the limited space that America puts things in, and what they did to this man, you know, they really just tried their best to destroy. I think maybe as an archangel that came to show love to humanity, you know, because
I left us with mediocrity.
Well,
they left it. I mean, they killed off all our great talents. The media has killed off all of our great talents and left us with mediocrity all of the time. All the time. We have mediocrity all over the place. I mean, you sometimes you think about people like Charlie Chaplin, Paul Robeson. You think about people like Billie Holiday. You think about people like Judy Garland. You think about people like Bob Fosse. You think about and not only Sammy Davis Jr. You think about great people like Gandhi, Martin Luther King. You think about people like Malcolm X. You think about people like James Baldwin and Eleanor Roosevelt. All of these great minds, the media has destroyed. Always destroying people when they're here, but when time they leave this earth, oh, how great they were, and how marvelous they were. But now with the mediocrity of people who now seem to be on the echelon, Drake and remember Drake, Trump, and all of these people who we deemed as powerful. They are not powerful. The only thing that's powerful is their ego, because all that shit would be gone. You know, and I'm not trying to be funny, but the fact is that ego would make people look powerful, but without that, they are just miserable, awful. But that is the issue that I have with the media, is that they always tear down people like Michael Jackson. People who want a better place for people. And that right there is very telling, because you see what we're seeing now, and they have no words for the corruption that is going on right now. We have a man who is suing the IRS. Now he has settled with them, that they have deemed him and his family no type of any type of accountability or any type of harassment on their part. How does that look for everybody else who has to deal with having to pay their taxes?
Right. No, I know. I mean, but how does that make? That's a question for you guys. Whether you answer it or not, you know, how do you feel justified in the level of thinking that this is okay for this person, this man, and in your suffering? I don't understand it. How do you feel like this is okay? Just for the fact that this fool sued the IRS for tax information that he should have given out anyway, whether it was leaked or not. Because every person that is in that office shows their taxes. Why couldn't you show your taxes? Because it was fraudulent shit that was going on.
And Barbara Wawa tried to tell you years ago, because she said it to his face. I went to your banker.
Wow.
And they're telling me that you don't have any money in your bank accounts. You have fraudulent. She said this. And it's so sad that you don't have a journalist like Barbara Wawa right now sticking it to them. They're too scared. They're so freaking scared. The American journalism and the American media are now punks. But you know what? They're no different from the American populace. They're punks too to the powerful. We cow our heads down because I don't want to mess with the job creators. The job creators, you know, and that's that irks irks me sometimes. It's like, y'all, we have the power of numbers, but you have given your power away to this small demographic of our population that seems to, you want to believe, run every damn thing, your water, your air. Bill Gates, he's doing all of this stuff. But when did Bill Gates have all this freaking power? Every time I hear some type of conspiracy about Bill Gates, I be want to punch somebody in their face. Because you have allowed this man, you have given this man so much power to claim that he is polluting the air. How could you have given this man this much power?
Because you
don't
believe that you have the individual power yourself, when you say things like that,
and it's allegedly.
But my point is that I have family members that don't even pay attention to anything. I do, and it troubles me. I had to bring to them about the educational factor, what's going on in their own state legislatively. You know what I mean? And then you're not paying attention. Well, you're excuse, well, I gotta go to work and I don't have time to be listening to that. Oh, okay. That's how we're gonna do that one this week? Okay, fine. But anyway, we're gonna go on. We're not gonna point fingers any further. We're gonna just take a couple minutes before we wrap it up tonight. Listen to our motivational speaker. I can't think of his name, but he's a really, really, really good motivational speaker. We don't like necessarily to promote people if they're not promoting us, process. But there's no way out there. And but a lot of these people don't have these kind of platforms like we have. They have snippets of, different things that they put out there. So to give a directional piece in it. But anyway, listen to what he is. And it's going to be the last two videos, I think it'll be right in line to where we are right now in terms of our conversation.
This is a question I get asked a lot. How do I stop chasing so I can attract? Okay, we'll make it simple. Why don't you just be what it is that you were hoping to experience? We'll get rid of the whole woo-woo side of it, the mystical side of it. How about this? I'm called a human being. Be. That's happening in the present moment. We know that the present moment is all that exists. There's no such thing as the future or the past. These are all mental constructs. So the only thing that I have is right now. Whatever I am right now, when the next present moment hits, now, if I be that and keep being that, eventually those present moments will add up, and up there will be another here. And then look, oh my goodness, I'm being that version because you were doing it now. So here's the key. Just be it right now. It's free. It costs you nothing. Just be the version of who it is that you want to be in the future. Be that right now, without the money, without the car, without the relationship. Mentally and emotionally, assume the same frequency, the same perspective, the same belief system, the same work ethic, the same everything as that version of you. And then eventually, guess what? Reality will conform to what you are.
So true. I can't argue with that. And it's just what we've been kind of elaborating on, this evening, is just finding your place to be. And I know that, a lot of people have had and have a lot of different struggles, to find out, to understand their own purpose of be. But it's just that it really is just as simple, but yet complex as the word itself, be. That means that all of your existence, all of your thought pattern, everything that is to come, that has to pass to the left or to the right, up or down, it's just be. And you can't take be to tomorrow. You can't take be to the, previous, all you can be is right now, but hopefully that you'll be one that grabs what was in yesterday that will formulate and give your be a more solid foundation. Just be. Okay, here's the next one.
We have to understand how our mind actually works. Your mind is looking for patterns and your mind is looking for familiarity. Okay, so this is why most of us struggle with uncertainty. It's not uncertainty, because here's the reality of it. Ain't nothing certain. The only thing that's for certain is uncertainty. You can't tell me what you're going to eat here in 3 days for dinner. Do you know? You don't. And you're not stressed out about that uncertainty. But you see what the ego does? The mind puts itself and attaches its self-worth to control and to knowing. Why? Because that's familiarity. And if that's familiarity, we're still alive. It doesn't want the new thing because the new thing means an old version has to die. And the ego's whole premise is rooted in survival. So this is why when you start to embrace uncertainty and not look at it as a negative, but this is an opportunity for me to shed an old skin so I can take in the new skin, so I can become a new version of me, so I can grow and evolve. Uncertainty is really a hotbed for growth.
So true statement. But reality sets in, and sometimes it is such a hard thing to grapple with. That reality, boy, it's a hard thing to grapple because with everything he just said, it's just the life is such a pressure keg. It is, and honestly, it's just you just got to have a firm foundation to stand on to have that type of muscle of the mind.
Well, what he's also saying is that you have to start creating that. You have to start creating that. You start creating your stability of that area of your mind. You start creating the where you see the imbalance. You start creating balance in that area, and once you start the foundation, then the foundation gets stronger. But even as a stronger foundation, you still have to keep building on that foundation. Because at some point, there's a way, it depends on where it's built. There's a wave, there's the elements that come against that foundation. And if it's built on stilts or whatever, the ground or cement or whatever, and even those that, build foundations on basements, you still have to maintain that foundation because at some point there's a crack. It's going to come in the cement.
Well, there you go.
Okay. And then you got to figure out a way to patch that crack so it doesn't continue. So that your house doesn't fall or sink, and then there's these not alleged, but these stories of people that have purchased homes that are on sinkholes. You know what I'm saying? That person went in for stability, stability of their home, but it ended up being on a sinkhole. But they've got to dig into that mindset and how to deal with it, that situation. They'll probably have to sell their property. It probably has to come on a major expense because there's no way you can rebuild it under a home over a single. There are ways now that it can come, but you might as well build a new home rather than paying for it, to keep your house from sinking in a sinkhole because of, what it costs to do that. So the cost almost weighs out more so to build yourself another house in another place. I was listening to something in what we've done that we don't. When I was growing up, you used to hear about these big fears and different things about quicksand and all this other type of stuff, and was out there because a lot of these shows mention about quicksand and all these other type of things. But nowadays, you don't mention about that. And it becomes a very hidden situation because it made you think. Am I stepping on the right place? Is my foot being, and I'm out, in maybe in the yard or outside back, and it's more dirt, or just if you were digging up a garden or something like that, the turned over soil. But in your mind, you would think, well, maybe this is quicksand. What if I step on this area and it's quicksand? Who's going to be here to get me out? And growing up, I used to think about that a lot. When I went on meshy grass, an area that was just appeared to be great, but you step on it and you start sinking in, and then you wonder, is this quicksand? But in your mind, you see it's quicksand, but then you wonder, well, if it is, who's going to get me out? But then again, in that moment, you start figuring a way out. You don't allow yourself to go deep down in. You say, oh, there's a tree, or maybe I need to back up. Maybe I need to step to the left. Maybe I need to step to the right. Maybe I need to step forward. But this spot is sinking, and I got to get You know. But anyway, we're going more. That's a good moment right there. I like that. So we lost, a really, really great artist today, singing artist. Most of Mr. People Rights Attorney. There he is. Today, I mean, he had acquired or had a stroke earlier. I think over the weekend, and so they were, of course, in the mode of sending up confirmation prayers for him, whatever the case may be. But he transitioned. He was, I think it's 75. But I didn't think he was that old. That's not old these days. Trust me. But I just want to say, rest in power. We're gonna miss you. And I mean, those of you that don't understand that level of music that he offered, it really is. People accomplished a lot, I think through the Disney World, and what because Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, were #1 hits.
I think he won an Oscar for that one. I think they did win an Oscar for Beauty and the Beast. I'm thinking,
which was really, really, really great. That he, started just like, in that aspect of it. But rest well, our brother, rest well. Everyone doesn't know necessarily the time, that they transition out, but that's well. Then we want to talk about real quick. I was kind of glad when I saw this today with his album. He's been knighted, by your favorite people.
No, he's not my favorite person.
You're funny. Who, him? Or you mean that? Oh, King Charles. King Charles knighted him today. Now he is Sir Regis Elba, because he's been British all along. But
colonized by the British.
But congratulations to Aegis. It's a step forward. So Sir Aegis Elba. Really glad to see it. And then, guess what, y'all? Today's the second, correct? We have I'm about to say Pride Month. Well, for somebody, in comparison to, it will be a celebration point, at the end of the day. So I really like this Pride example, because it says Happy Pride Month. Love is love. It's not proving a point. That's one of my statements, is that I really really believe in that aspect of love. It should not have any bearing upon it. I really like this banner that represents that great well. So celebrating Pride Month, and if you're not a part of the same gender community, I don't like on the alphabet, that get to know somebody during Pride Month. Okay, get to know somebody. Get to understand somebody that is a part of that, or the other community that gets ridiculed all year long for different reasons. Take the opportunity to get to know somebody that is of the same gender community. I'm not going with all the alphabets, okay? And really embrace them and find out that love is love at the end of the day. All right, guys. It has been a fantastic, fun evening. We appreciate you taking the time out to be with us, on the Truth Behind the Truth. We hope that we have aligned you with some good stuff, and you'll take it to heart. Okay? For us here in California, it's a big day. What is it, 8 o'clock? The polls are just getting ready to close. And hopefully that our mayor will still remain be the same. If it goes down to the governor runoff, we know what we want. You know, I mean, and then we know who we definitely want, that Chad person. But anyway, I shouldn't say that, should I? It is what it is, you know, with that. But, you know, next week we'll have some good report about who won and, you know, where things are going. You know, all right. Well, thank you for tuning into The Truth Behind the Truth. We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Oh.